Next verse. The beauty, the things I just spoke about now, are some of the things that describe the beauty of Nigeria. The Bible said that beauty is slain upon thy high places. How had the mighty fallen? Nigeria, how did you arrive here? One of the beauties of our nation is the church. And we need to ask ourselves, oh, bless the Lord, many saints in Nigeria, but we also have our fair share of a bank of charlatans. Men who don't know God but are in ministry. Men who are more friends with the occult than in ministry. Now we have a borderline group that is neither here nor there, and many young people are running into that thing, looking for oils that are not genuine. The beauty of Israel is slain upon the high places. How had the mighty fallen? Next verse of scripture. So a call came. And you see, when I read this portion, I took dress. That you see, when we speak about the fall of our nation, we should be careful where we say it. I won't go to Togo and talk about how bad Nigeria is. Yorubas will ask that you should kill me inside the house. Don't kill me outside. The only news media in Nigeria that has managed that thing is NTA. Because in NTA there's no bomb blast in Nigeria. Yes. NTA, they didn't see answers. No, their cameras didn't go that far. It's only good things. So that instead of news to be long, they can be killing people somewhere. NTA will be showing fisheries. How they are selling fish in Baga. Or how they are packing beans somewhere. How they are doing laughing in Ogun State. That's what they'll be showing. Because their job is to market the nation as a working nation. Tell it not in Gath. I've also learned the wisdom of only unburdening my pains as received of the Lord about the church in the church. I don't go to the market. I can't enter a bus and you're saying the church is somehow and I join your discussion. No. I rather grieve. And once in a while I'll ventilate my grief by going, That's all. But when we come to the church, we should tell ourselves that we were more beautiful. And when I speak of beauty, I speak of potency. I know some people don't believe because our measuring systems are not accurate. You know that the church, the design for the beauty of the church is as revealed by God. If you start church today and after 2 weeks you become 50,000 people, you know they will say that you have prospered. You may not be known in heaven. There's a metric system that only God gives that helps to teach if we are truly beautiful. We need to truly ask ourselves, how many new people have come into the church in the last 1 year? I mean new. When I mean new, I mean just got saved. We have gained mastery of a recycling ministry. They go to that place small and they say, that place is not working. And then they come to another place and we celebrate their coming, forgetting that that place where they left and it's not working is also part of the body. In my early years in ministry, I used to be hard on. All those chain churches go pack their members, redistribute them. But I found out that it's like a toe that is ailing. If that toe dies, the whole body will suffer. Because there are genuine places that are just misaligned. And in the days of their misalignment, somebody must pray that God brings them in. Dr. Paul was sharing, Paul and Lecture was sharing some years ago that there was this church around their area. I think it was an Anglican or a CAC church. That church in the particular time was talking about Dunamis built their own church in less than 6 months. That church has been struggling to build for like 40 years. So he had to call a meeting with the leaders of the church. What's happening? They said no resources. How much do you need to finish your church? Even the people were afraid. I said, how much? This is our estimate. Take the money, go and finish that church. There's no glory that we finished our own if your own is still uncompleted. That's body consciousness. But that beauty. I'm trusting God that more of our brothers will come, because to go on short 200 hours was beauty. Kai! It was beauty. It was beauty. Anyway, that time all of us were nameless. I hope you are hearing me. Because it's like, now that everybody's having names small, we all don't see eye to eye again. God will help us. I think it's a good place to say it. Jerry, am I saying it well? Are you bothered too? Because Jerry will always ask me. Now we don't see eye to eye again. Everybody has become a big man. God will show us mercy. But it was beautiful. It was everybody in their giftings at their best. That was the beauty that we had. Bring back those days. I remember when Obasanjo was president. Sorry, I'm saying these things. I'm just bringing back this reality so that we journey with them. And they assembled a winning team. Well, I didn't know that we had people like Okoto Iweala in Nigeria. I didn't know that we had people like Obiese Kwesili. It was largely a male country. Until these women came and ran our debts into zero. Unfortunately, our debt profile has increased because the only economic part that we currently know is to borrow and borrow and borrow. So that, Victor, I know government has not done anything for you in the last few months, but you are a debtor. You are likely owing around like 400k now. Yes. If they share the money amongst all of us, that's how much you are. Yes, that's how much you are owing now. Unfortunately, they still want to borrow money. I saw an IMF report, because I read those things, that the next government, if they don't know how to make more money, currently where we are now, everything they make will go down in debt. Everything. So it will be, you make money and then you run into zero. It's like you borrowed credit with your MTN line. So every time somebody gives you 1,000 and say they gave me 1,000, you see that your balance instantly is zero. Some people even broke their lines. The debt on the line is too much. I don't know if it's true, but somebody told me that MTN used to advise some people that they should stop borrowing. I'm not sure if it's true, but somebody told me. And they sent the person a text. Now, you have borrowed so much, you are not paying back. You see what those online apps do? The average Nigerian who is borrowing does not have a payback plan. He just wants to borrow. He believes that it's invisible. We are like that because the land has been calibrated like that. That every time there's a need, borrow, borrow, borrow. Let your children have debts as inheritance. The lands that produce cocoa in this nation still produce cocoa. The lands that produce granite still have potential for granite. Now we saw bags of rice in Abuja and we don't know where they harvested the rice from. Whether it was rice bought and rebagged and arranged to say we are doing well. A few years ago they exported yams. About 2 containers. And they said Nigeria started yam exportation. Do you know how much yam costs now? And you can't cajole them. You see, if you don't want, go away. So yam is becoming something you eat once in a while when you have cravings. I feel like eating yam. You now eat it. You must not eat too much. And if you are taking off the skin, you must be wise. Don't reduce the yam too much or you can start a fight. How are the mighty fallen? How are the mighty fallen? Student protest was the only way to go on strike. It was not non-payment of staff salary. Now people work for the whole month and they are not sure at the end of the month they will collect salary. Some states were owing 22 months. It's only in Nigeria that it happens. In Sri Lanka, they felt that something was wrong. They invaded the presidential palace, set fire on it. Second day, the president took off. He resigned from another country. No, you don't do those things in other countries. They felt that the British Prime Minister did something wrong, shouted a few days, he resigned. But in Nigeria, somebody does not pay salary for 20 months. Families are suffering, and he still carries siren through the town. He still comfortably allows himself to be addressed as a governor. People work. Nigerians who work abroad have very solid retirement packages. But you work in Nigeria. It's Nigeria they tell the pensioners that they are dead people. That even the living have not collected salary. Not talk of the dead people. How can you graduate from school and then they recruit you into the army and they feed you cassava, not even gari? I have a picture on my phone. Some people have tried to combine it. In one same plate, you have corn, yellow corn and cassava. Say, give them cassava and agbado. In the morning, in the afternoon. Some people have said enough to not have a face in this nation again. And we keep praying. I don't know who will be, but I know who should not be. And that's why I'm saying this evening. I know who should not be. And I'm praying that who should not be will not be. No. When I heard it, I was angry. It's goats that used to eat cassava when we were small. At best, we only take cassava as gari. They say it's poor man's food. The poor man in Nigeria now is supposed to eat dust. Yes, because there's no middle class again. It's either the rich or the poor. You now deduct our money from source so that we don't have a choice. 50 million to fight terrorism, something that was created. And then we have tales in the news media of the supposed creators. Have you been reading too? Unfortunately, the supposed creators also want to partner with the Agbado man. Come down, oh Lord, and manifest your power. Come down, oh Lord, and manifest. Come down, come down, come down. Hey, oh Lord, manifest and manifest your power. Come down, come down, oh Lord, oh Lord. One more time. And manifest. Hey, come down, oh Lord, and manifest your power. Come down, oh Lord, and manifest your power. My mom would tell me that when she was in school of nursing in Ibadan, as a school of nursing student, she was on a salary. They will give them toiletries, I think weekly. They will give them provisions in the same country. Now government does nothing for you. If you don't have a generator, you are not sure that your business will thrive if you are dependent on electricity. Generators are more expensive. The fuel is very expensive. And the power supply is erratic. When we were small in this town, water used to flow from the waterworks. Now if you have no well or a private borehole, there's no water. If you don't decide to walk the road that goes to your house, your car will spoil with time. I know how much we spend on tires. The life expectancy of tires have shortened. Shock absorbers. The wheel alignment man makes so much money because every journey you go for, you need to go and see him. If you leave your steering, your car will be going there instead of going straight because the roads are bad. Where's Timo? I was telling my wife during the week, I said, when Timo is driving you, tell him to be careful because even between here and Loring, there are very deep holes in the road. If you put a tire into it, it will sink it. Some months ago, I was traveling with Daniel for a meeting in Ife. We were not moving too fast though. Maybe about 60, 70. And then it was night. We didn't see the portal. The edge of our rim was bent because we fell into the hole. We're in the middle of nowhere. Everybody who passed said, if you stay here too long. But I told Daniel, nothing happened. He was in the middle of that night, we were repairing tire. By the time we finished, because we're using the light of the car, our battery had died. We now started looking for mechanic to borrow us battery. Left here for Ife about 5:30. Got there at 11 o'clock. My session was 11:30. We still ministered. Now people pay school fees to a school. Classes are not holding. Some of you now have become debtors because your rent has expired. How they are not disturbing you? Okay, you don't used to stay in the house in the afternoon. Night is the relief of a debtor because somehow everybody sleeps. So before they come in the morning, you take off again. It's all going to change. It will always be like this. The Lord will perfect that concerneth me. Sooner or later, it'll turn in my favor. It's turning around for me. It will turn. It will turn. In this same country, the tenant will become a landlord. Yes. And I'm not speaking of other people. The one who does not have enough will have to save, to give, to invest, and to spend. Yes. Our nation is becoming better. Many people are sick now because the suffering is much, the pressure is much. But a regime of health will also come with it. In the name of Jesus. The cry was that Israel was once a nation of might, and their symbols of might were the king and the crown prince. But in one battle, both of them fell. We will flesh this thing more because I want us to pray, because we need to trust God to help us know in which battle sectorally our nation fell. And trust God maybe to ask for a rematch. That we face those beasts again, and in the name of the Lord bring them down to their knees. We want to know how education fell. We want to know how democracy fell. We want to know how governance became like this. We want to know. We want to know. Why the average Nigerian who is doing business with you is trying to cheat you? How did we become like that? We want to know how church no longer sponsors truth, and it's just lies that people listen to. We want to know. Let me read to the end and then we go to pray. So there were places that David will not want this story to be told. When I was praying coming this afternoon, I perceived in my heart that part of our conspirators were other nations who wanted to see us a weak nation. They manipulated us into weak government. They gave us men who were willing to sell the nation cheaply. Because we need to ask ourselves a question. We sell crude oil. And our crude oil, I studied chemical engineering. I had friends who had projects in characterizing crude oil in 5 states. And the feedback is that the sulfur content of the crude oil that is mined in Nigeria is very low. But what we have as petrol is high sulfur content. It means what we sell that they refine outside is not where we buy. The fuel that enters the country is like trash. Very low quality. So you spend a lot on fuel pumps. Your car backfires anyhow. We have become a dumping ground in the same place where we churn out the finest crude. How did we get here? If you don't have a refinery, Pastor Tiola, and I have a refinery, maybe you will sell crude to me. And then when I refine, I will pay you back by giving you what you need. So money is not exchanged. We'll just reach some kind of barter system. You take some of the byproducts as cost of what do you call it? Cost of refining, and then you give me what is good. So Nigeria can have killer petrol. That last one, if you know how many cars got spoiled. Next verse. Next verse. So when David found out that it was as though a narrative has really come up, he began to journey to look for conspirators. And that's why you have verse 21. He found out that one of the conspirators was the mountains of Gilboa. I was telling my wife this afternoon that I felt led to check online these mountains of Gilboa, and I saw that the curse of David sits on that mountain. Few trees planted by the nation of Israel themselves, but vegetation is nearly non-existent. What did David say? He said, let there be no dew, neither let there be rain upon you, nor fields of offerings, for there the shield of the mighty is vilely cast away, the shield of Saul, as though he had not been anointed with oil. It was as though David understood that there were facilities inanimate that God had placed in nations that were supposed to partner with that nation for survival. If you travel from Ibadan to Ife, you will find out that there are many mountains on that road. Our last mountain is there. The mountain in Akpomu is there. Baba Elami's mountain is there. I know the CNS church, I think it's CNS Unification also, they also have a place on that road. That's Wasimi. It looks as if that area was crafted by God to be a portal to heaven. The mountains were chosen. And men labored there. So when people are tired, people are owing, people are in trouble, they go to those mountains to engage God, and God comes. There's a possibility that those mountains also cooperate with darkness. And when they do that, what they attract is a curse. When I began to do intercession, I found out that in cursing a man, you will need to use some of the elements of his making. I've taught this in sermons, so if you want to know what I have to say about intercession, you will go back. And don't ask us on the group that what are the sermons that Reverend spoke about. Just scroll up. Just scroll up. I found out that, you see, your body was gotten from the dust. So you have sand or earth. You have water. Even your eyes, after the similitude of water, you know, it's transparent like water. So the Babalawo, when he wants to see US, it's a bowl of water he uses. Because he knows that water has some optical essence. Are you with me? The reason why you are physically alive is because you breathe. So there's air. Those are three basic elements. If we check your body is regulated. Your food is what do you call that process of breaking down food? Your metabolic activities are essentially heat-based activities, mechanical heat. So there are four basic elements: earth, wind, water, fire. Rarely will a curse be administered without using any of those four things. So what wise men do is that they pitch those things towards God. So that nothing that comes from the wind, nothing that comes from the earth, nothing that comes from flames, and nothing that comes from water can be used to plague you. You labor so that those elements of the earth they can never cooperate with the enemy. There's a reason why I'm emphasizing what I'm emphasizing, because it's an opening night. Because the cause will not have implicated Gilboa, the mountains, if the mountains did not cooperate. The Bible says a cause, causeless. It means that Gilboa was implicated because there were graces, there were endowments in the mountain that will have changed the outcome of the battle, but they watched. They spectated. There are rivers that have cooperated with darkness, that every year they come up and carry people away. And as we labor, we need to undo them. I've shared it here that the last time I was in Lagos, God showed me that the strength of some of the Lagos men is the waters of Lagos, and that we judge the waters. We'll see more feedbacks where men will chicken away because they found out that their backup system has been wasted. Give me verse 22. It says, from the blood of the slain, from the fat of the mighty, the bow of Jonathan turned not back. There was a day that our weapons were deployed as a nation and we didn't get anything for it. I remember some years ago, our female national team went to play an African competition and they won. They now came back, they started hustling for their money. Give us our money 1 month, 2 weeks. So they now interviewed the sport minister. Then why have you not paid them? He said they didn't expect that they will go that far in the competition. They just expected they will knock them out. So they didn't plan for the long term. It is to say that our design is that they fail. So we are surprised that they prevailed. Those USA 94 guys are just collecting their houses. Ashidi Yakini has died. He didn't collect the house. He was near homeless before he died. How many years is that now? Almost 30 years. 28 years. A promise from the government of your nation. Even football clubs, they get their promises in immediately. I want to pray. We are in a sad place and we need to acknowledge that we are in a sad place. But we also need to acknowledge that by strength, we can no longer prevail as a nation. The Nigerian economic landscape is an economist's headache. You are trying to see, how did they arrive here? So how do we get them out? A professor, I think of nuclear physics or so, Professor Batnaji, came. He had a power company and came, and he was in a bid to help run Nigeria's power system. After about 6 months, the man went back to fulfill his professorial duties because he found out that the problem of our power sector was not generation or distribution, it was corruption. The average NEPA man does not want you to have a meter, because he wants you to enjoy light and pay him. When we're in school, say we are owing 20,000, say bring 2,000, and they will reconnect you, and you keep paying that 2,000 all the time they come. Corruption. As a nation, we want to see you again. We do not understand how we fail, but we know that if you do not help us, oh God, the fall will be further downward. Suddenly we woke up and our roads could no longer be plied in the night. Even in the daytime you were afraid because you could go missing. How did we get here? After many years, railways started working, and then it had to be packed up again because it had become too dangerous to utilize. How did a great nation fall this far? How? How did we raise politicians who want their pocket and not the good of the city? How did we get here? How did we get to a point where with 200 naira you can change a man's allegiance on the day of voting? 200. I heard even this yesterday, some people collected 5,000 naira, and one of our ministry sons was doing the maths that the person collected 1,250 naira for 1 year. That's what he thinks government is worth to him. You can't even get any serious data on your phone with 1,209. People are willing to sell, because if you make them poor long enough, they will vote for you with any amount you give them. Can we cry out to the Lord that the days of our strength will come? Saul has fallen, Jonathan with him. Can you send us a David? One who will mourn the fall of our nation and will partner with you for a rise. Can you send us David? We have concluded our compilation that our children may read who we were before heaven smiled upon us. And our children will see how long we stayed in school, and that they will know that there is a God in Nigeria who can turn the fortunes of a people. Show us mercy that this narrative will no longer be sustained. Show us mercy. Oh, kayese mokayata. Kobeaku menava kabesute leheta. Pekalika soperakotai brake sofakata bakanteko basabe bakata atakalia kiatos kepata teate epakopata kambetosa bairata bamisko palata. Oh, we have concluded the song. How are the mighty fallen and their weapons of war perished? We have seen our cutting edge realities. We have seen them chipping before our very eyes. The things that gave us pride as a people have become wasted, and we plead with you, oh God, that you will visit us with mercy. Ayo goma galata kekoto lakunata barakato ketokos kantago baragos elabakotanga sibaria boskabuata abaka makababikes kofabias breskivetu katu